It all started with a dream of music and family and hard work. It started with a vision of what could be, what might be with just the right instrument, the right dedication, the right invitation. Somewhere along the way, though, something shifted and changed, as it always does with things. Things change. And so now we're standing in the front yard with an upright antique piano, its caster wheels half sunk into the grass, a metal ramp leading up to a makeshift wood ramp to lead into the front threshold into the living room. And you take a breath and you look at the ramp and you look at the piano. And you look at the ramp again and you look at the piano and you think, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? But it was such a good idea. Because it isn't just the piano, it isn't just a piano, it is the story that lives in it, right? The memory of places, people, moments seep into furniture and objects and rooms. They hold memory, they hold hearts. Joy Sutphin, Minnesota Poet Laureate, says it this way: everything remembers something. The rock, its fiery bed, cooling and fissuring into cracked pieces, the rub of watery fingers along its edge. The cloud remembers being elephant, camel, giraffe, remembers being a veil over the face of the sun, gathering itself together for the fall. The turtle remembers the sea sliding over and under its belly, remembers legs like wings escaping down the sand under the beaks of savage birds. The tree remembers the story of each ring, the years of drought, the floods, the way things came walking towards it long ago. And the skin remembers its scars, and the bone aches where it was broken. The feet remember the dance, and the arms remember lifting the child. The heart remembers everything it loved and gave away, everything it lost and it found again, and everyone it loved the heart cannot forget. Well, so too did this piano have a story. One that some of us didn't know or maybe forgot along the way, and was shared and recast then as testimony, as living family scripture. See, Grandma Swartz had bought it in Des Moines, Iowa, with one of her first paychecks out of the house after her children were born in the 1950s, and she believed it was important for her children to learn music. So she bought this instrument, which may have been one of the most beautiful things in their humble home. Well, her children excelled in many things. Piano, perhaps not the premier skill, but the piano was still there, and then it traveled to a new home, found a new place with shared dreams of musical children, which may or may not have come to fruition. And the piano was cared for, and there, like an old friend, restained with deeply warm wood tones, and it held that space, played or not. It held the music of holidays and seasons like an old friend, just ready to fill the space with sound. And then it seemed right for the piano to travel to a new home, a place where someone who married into the family would play it a little more often, whose children's hand would find it and help it sing. So there we were, on the next page of that story, with that piano in our front lawn, the soft front lawn, right there on 16th Street in Rochester. And when you try to push it up this ramp, you remember something deep down that we all know. You need help. So we called a friend, and they came, and together we said, we got this. Let's go. And we pushed it up that ramp, and we muscled it over the threshold with only one board breaking under my foot on the makeshift wood ramp, because when you say to one another, I need your help, then you push the story along. You keep things going. And you say, well, that was a lot easier with some more hands. And we travel from sinking ground into a house that's becoming a home because we just pushed 50 years of memory and story and music over the threshold and into the living room. Amy shared these words from Jan Richardson. If you could see the journey whole, you might never undertake it. Might never dare the first step that propels you from the place you have known toward the place you know not. But take the vows the pilgrim takes, she says. Be faithful to the next step. Rely on more than the map. Heed the signposts of intuition and dream, and follow the star that only you will recognize. Keep an open eye for the wonders that attend that path, and press on beyond distractions and beyond fatigue, she says. Heed the signposts of intuition and dream. Rely on more than the map. Good advice. Part of any good journey is knowing your connection to something beyond yourself. Often it's another person or a group of people on a shared path. Sometimes even when we think we're traveling solo, it is the ground beneath us that's supporting us, and the air around us, the beauty of the landscape and the stories upon the path that we find along the way, and we know we are indeed never alone. Can you think of those moments in your own life? Who have been your traveling companions when you've journeyed from a place you know to a place you know not, whether you've gone across miles or whether your heart has traveled miles and your feet have never moved from the ground right beneath your feet? What has held you through it? Who has guided you and questioned you so that you could refine your journey to make it your own? From one home to another, one city to another, one person to another, transitions in work, in love, in life, in identity, of a vision of what your life was going to be. As we moved over this summer from St. Paul to Rochester, packing and unpacking, and I mean comprehensively, packing and unpacking boxes and stories and hearts and minds and memories and joy and sadness, and finding where to walk the dog and where to buy groceries and where to put the socks and how to angle the chair and then re-angle the chair and then just get a different chair. It's all about how to make a house into a home, how to make your soul into a home. In the packing and unpacking of things, I was quickly reminded these are not just things. They're filled with stories, same as that piano, not only objects, but rooms and places and sidewalks at those threshold moments in life. You take a different inventory. You put on different lenses. You notice each place and interaction in a different way when you are about to leave or you've just arrived someplace, whether that's physical or spiritual or mental. There's something in that piano, in that chair. It's like every box, as much as it feels like a weight or a burden at times, they're like little treasure chests. All of the sun, in particular, if you've had a good night's sleep and a good cup of coffee in the morning, you can begin to interact with those boxes as a bounty of memory and of miracle, reminding you and recalling you of who you are and who you are called to be, who are your people. Pat Schneider writes, "It is a kind of love, is it not? How the cup holds the tea, how the chair stands sturdy and foursquare, how the floor receives the bottoms of shoes or toes, how soles of feet know where they're supposed to be." She says, "I've been thinking about the patience of ordinary things, how clothes wait respectfully in closets and soap dries quietly in the dish, how towels drink the wet from the skin of the back, and the lovely repetition of stairs, and what is more generous than a window?" Sometimes it's the most ordinary, the most mundane things that hold a space for you and that hold you. Happens box by box, and you begin to unpack. As I was unpacking my boxes and boxes and boxes of books in my office, one of you kindly joked as you walked by, "Looks like you're coming with a lot of baggage." I said, "True enough, yes." We all do, don't we? Travel across this world, whether we move across the world or our heart just shifts in place. We travel with our boxes, this container we call a body, a soul, that brings with us what we have been and what we are about to be, that we are always still becoming. A series of incremental movements, a way of moving in the world, and sometimes it takes patience for the soul to catch up with the body and the mind of what you're doing. For some, thresholds are exciting and exhilarating. God bless you. For others, they are terrifying and hard, even from one Minnesota town to another. And I think for many of us, we're somewhere in the middle. It all depends on the when and the how and the who and the what. As much as we often try to express strength and independence, we want to muscle something up the ramp just all by ourselves, and we offer to the world some calm, cool, collected, Facebook-esque version of ourselves as self-confident and self-actualized and self-fulfilled. But we know deep down we need each other. We know deep down we live in relationship with one another, with family, with friends, with ancestors, and the dreams of who we are yet to be. We live in some constant dynamic dialogue about who we are as an individual, but part of a larger whole, the larger fabric of things. We need things to hold us, ordinary everyday moments and places, as well as places that hold together the largest questions of life. about love and of justice, sorrow and grief, hope, evil, death, resilience, God, beauty, love. We need places and people who put pen to paper and sign their name and say, I'm your people and you are mine. I got you. We've got this. As messy as life is, as much as we fail, we've got this because our success at creating a more just and beautiful and equitable world is only as powerful and sustained as our humility in our need for one another, in our nourishment of spirit, to be part of something larger than ourselves, larger than our interests, larger than our egos, large enough to help us live our best life, filled with grace and forgiveness, falling down, getting up, encouragement and love. At our best, the church, this old school sort of creaky thing with ancient practices and patterns where we breathe and we sing and we serve together in some sort of common rhythm, at our best, we don't pretend to be something other than what we are, which is church, where we hold together the largest questions, where we come to a place cared for by generations and hours upon hours of labor and love. We draw from ancient and modern scriptures and practices that are set in a new key for a modern world. We believe in many teachers and many traditions that they have much to teach us. And so too does our own life experience if we're going to grow our spirits and practice justice with compassion and hospitality. What we can be for one another, what the church can be for us, in the words of Annie Dillard, is a haven in the wreck of time, a scaffold upon which we can labor and work in the chaos of the wider world as we try to make sense of it, try to make sense of every news feed bombarding us each day. Church is a net to catch our days, a glass jar to catch the light in the summer sky that's all around you, to take beauty and struggle right into your heart, hold the toughest questions there, know them deeply and closely, and find that even when clarity is obscured and answers don't come easy, we have a place here to hold the ambiguity, and we can find something that can hold us. Charles Blow writes, "Our church was a humble wood-framed building elevated on brick pedestals, and the earth had settled and shifted beneath it in a way that left the building slightly warped. It was a bit tattered, but exactly right, an imperfect outside made perfect by what was happening inside. It was a kind of building that remembered things, deep down things. Ushers held the doors like angels at heaven's gate, directing us to an open pew, the ends of which had been polished to a shine by generations of hands using them for support." We remember. This church remembers deep down things. That's what we're about. Generation after generation keep turning toward each other, keep turning toward the questions that are larger than ourselves, looking for something, looking for someone, someplace to help us make meaning of it all. I think of the religious life as a way to experience your everyday. It's not only about coming together and experiencing a Sunday morning, but that's important. Don't get any ideas. But it's not only that, because if it's only that, we're falling short. It's like a scaffold, the religious life, a framework, a structure, a lens through which we experience our days. The filter through which we experience the world is guided by our ethical and religious values, and at its best, it brings into sharp focus the moments of beauty you never expected. And all of a sudden, you begin to notice what was always right there, what was holy and sacred without you even knowing it, because of the attunement of your heart to the miraculous of the ordinary. The person walking by you is no longer a stranger, but is now kindred. The story that you hear, different from your own, is no longer something to be skeptical of, but it's living scripture with which to have a dialogue. The path you're walking on, or the tiniest blade of grass, or the way the wind brushes your skin is no longer just a thing, it's a sacrament. It's a way of experiencing the holy and beauty and awe and wonder. And all of a sudden, you just realize all those around you and the scream of babes, they're your people. And they say to you and you say to them when you most need it, I've got you. I've got you through this. The dusk sky turns from blue to orange to purple to pink. The night stars appear, and when you think darkness has set, all around you there are shining lights. They've been there all along. They're sitting right next to you right now. just waiting for your path to go dark, helping you remember deep down things. They're just shining like a net of light catching you. May it be so. Amen. The hymn is Blue Boat.